Welcome everyone to this webinar brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, our name is Abitchonistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong strategic national security-oriented policies. Thank you to all of our viewers and all of our supporters for tuning into these war briefings. We have a lot to cover today, so we're just going to jump straight in. Today, as we promised, Brigadier General Amir Avivi, the founder and chairman of IDSF, is going to answer your questions. Many questions have been submitted. You can still submit them into the chat, and we're going to just jump in right now. And then after our Q&A session, we have a very special treat. We are going to some Israeli soldiers who are going to light the first candles for Hanukkah for us. Okay, so General Avivi, the FBI chief recently warned in a Senate Judiciary Committee that Hamas-inspired terror threats have reached unprecedented levels. Do you think that Hamas would coordinate attacks in the U.S.? General, are you there? Did I lose you? Ronit, can you hear me? Okay, maybe the general is out of service right now, out of reception. Let's give him a minute to see if he'll return.
Moshe, sorry, I lost you. Please ask again.
Okay, now we hear you. Did you hear the question?
No, I didn't hear it.
Okay, the question is, the FBI chief recently warned in a Senate Judiciary Committee that Hamas-inspired terror threats have reached unprecedented levels. Do you think that Hamas, in part of their whole terror network, would really start coordinating attacks in the U.S.?
I don't know of planned terror attacks of Hamas. Hamas is a local organization. It's not global. It's not like ISIS or Al-Qaeda, but talking about Muslim Brotherhood and radical Sunni organizations, they can certainly coordinate things and work together, just as Iran, which is Shia, is working closely together with Hamas, that is Sunni.
Okay, how do the attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea impact this war? And should Israel respond to these attacks, or should it be left to the Americans?
So it's impacting the Israeli national shipping company started moving goods through Africa, going all around Africa. This means 30 days more of travel. This means the time of shipping is a month more. This means paying more for the cargo. Everything around the cost and time is pretty dramatic. And I think that securing global trade routes, this is definitely what you would expect from the US and NATO and other big powers. I don't think this is the main mission of Israel.
Is there a shortage of major armaments for the IDF? And is there an issue with the US providing these armaments and potentially putting in stipulations or unreasonable demands in order for Israel to receive this equipment?
No, we are getting a lot of equipment. There are dozens of airplanes that are arriving. There are ships that arrived, and there are ships on their way to Israel with huge amounts of pretty much everything Israel needs to conduct a long-term war. So in this sense, I think we're getting the right assistance we need. The main demand the administration is talking about is really the humanitarian issue. Is all the time trying to find ways to ease the situation for the Palestinian population, and we are trying to meet these requirements. While doing that, the U.S. Is dealing with deterring Iran and Hezbollah from attacking. It's dealing also, starting to deal with the Houthis. I think that definitely there is a place for the U.S. to be much more aggressive on Iran, which is not happening. And we have to take in account that the Iranian proxies are constantly attacking U.S. troops, and the response is not strong. But at least as far as assisting us with Hamas, we're getting a lot of assistance.
Is it in Iran's best interest to keep Hezbollah out of this war or to push Hezbollah into the war?
There's not one clear answer. In many ways, it's better for them to keep Hezbollah out. This way, Hezbollah is not in danger of being destroyed. Iran needs Hezbollah to defend itself. Also, our war with Hezbollah, there is a good chance it will involve, at the end of the day, also Iran and the Iranians. It's not easy for them to decide to also get involved and be involved in a war, a regional war, especially when they're not nuclear and they feel that they're more vulnerable in many ways. But when Iran sees that Hamas is going to completely be destroyed, and when they might assess that the next thing we'll do is destroy Hezbollah, if they think it's imminent, then they might say, if this is the case, we'll choose the timing and not do it on Israel timing and when it suits Israel.
Thank you again, everyone, for sending the questions. They're coming in faster than I can read them, which is amazing. There's so much interest, so many great questions. What is UN Resolution 1701? And is there a chance that Israel will be able to start enforcing this?
So UN resolution, which is the Security Council resolution, was passed in the Second Lebanese War, at the end of the Second Lebanese War in 2006. And it calls for the full retreat of Hezbollah and all terror organizations from South Lebanon. This was the requirement for Israel to withdraw from South Lebanon after we took most of it during the war. And this never happened. I mean, the resolution was passed, but it didn't really prevent Hezbollah from bringing more and more forces to the south of Lebanon. And now they have huge forces, Radwan and Aziz forces and other forces that are threatening the towns in the north. And Israel is now putting a lot of pressure on the international community to implement the resolution, and by doing that, preventing war. If we are saying something very clear, which Europe also said today to Lebanon and Hezbollah, if you don't retreat, then there will be war, because it leaves Israel with no other choice. We cannot bring our citizens back with Hezbollah sitting on our border. We need Hezbollah out of there, and it's two ways to go, either militarily or them retreating according to the resolution.
I'm going to combine a couple questions here. How many Hamas terrorists have been eliminated so far? How many more are there to go? And to what extent are the terrorists fighting to the death or potentially surrendering right now to the IDF?
Well, I think that mostly they are fighting, but their tactics of fighting makes things difficult. They mostly don't want to engage directly with the IDF. So when the IDF advances, they hide in the tunnels. And then after we take the area and we start organizing in different places for staying there, then they go out and try to attack, not while we are on the offensive. And there are also probably many terrorists that simply stay in the tunnels and wait, and they can wait a week or more until they suddenly emerge and try to attack. And this is what makes it so complicated. The fight at the moment in the areas that we are fighting is fierce. In Judea, in Judea, in Khan Yunis. I think in every engagement, the IDF manages to destroy Hamas and continue moving forward, and they are all the time in retreat. There is nothing stopping our soldiers from moving forward.
Is there a concern that while Israel is focused on Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah, that behind the scenes Iran is preparing for a nuclear breakout?
Yeah, Iran is advancing all the time, and eventually we'll have to deal with this. When we look at the whole overall arena, what we are dealing with, we'll have to deal with Hamas, we'll have to deal with Hezbollah, and also we'll have to deal with Iran. The question is Israel going to do this only by itself, or we are able to get the US to build a coalition and pose a credible military threat on Iran and its proxies and stabilize the Middle East. And this is the biggest challenge of the Israeli government, to really convince that there is a need for a coalition. And with a coalition, it's a completely different scenario.
There are many tactical questions coming in, so I'm going to combine two. Can you discuss a little bit about the idea of flooding the Gaza tunnels with seawater, and also the role of the bulldozer in all of this war in Gaza?
So, talk about the bulldozers. Can tell you a story that when the US went to war with Iraq, the first Iraqi war, they didn't have even one armored bulldozer. So we sent 12 armored bulldozers to Iraq. At that time, the IDF was operating with more than 100 bulldozers just in Gaza and later on in Lebanon. So in the IDF, the bulldozer is a big deal. It's a big deal because it's able to do many things. It clears the roads from improvised explosive devices. It brings down houses on tunnels. It builds areas that are safe for the tanks and the APCs. It's the most probably dominant capability the ground forces have. We have hundreds of armored bulldozers, and in the war now, the IDF is buying like 200 more. So this is growing a lot. Talking about the tunnels, we have many techniques how to destroy tunnels. One of them is flooding. We know how to do it. We have the capabilities. And where is needed, if we want to, we know how to do it.
The top leaders of Hamas in Gaza, like Sinwar, do you think they will stay and fight till the end, or is there a chance that they will escape to Egypt?
A good question. I think that some might try to escape. I'm not sure about Sinwar. He might actually prefer becoming a martyr than escaping. He's thinking a lot about his heritage, what will remain. If he escapes, he will be remembered as a coward. So I think there's a good chance that he actually might stay, but we'll see.
Once the war in Gaza is over, What size standing force will the IDF need to keep in Gaza or the region to keep the peace?
I think that for a very, very, very long time, there will be at least one or two brigades that will have to operate inside Gaza. It will take a long time to dismantle all the terror infrastructure. It's a long process that we'll have to deal with. And it's hard to say. Depends how the war exactly ends and what will be the humanitarian situation. But definitely we'll need to leave the remaining forces.
Is the situation in Judea and Samaria getting any better, or is it getting worse?
Well, overall, I think it's much better than what it was in the last 2 years. We had endless amount of attacks there, and now we are on the offensive, apprehending many terrorists, and the amount of terror attacks has decreased dramatically. But I visited this week the Jordan Valley, the area of Jericho, and I saw that there are a lot of illegal buildings that were built. So they are continuing to try to grab land and build illegal houses as we are operating in Gaza. And this is something that we need to take in account.
After the war is over, do you think there will be an assessment that Israel needs a larger standing army?
We will definitely need a much bigger army. We decreased the ground forces a lot in the last 20 years, and now we are paying for that. There are consequences to these decisions. And the Prime Minister already mentioned that he is going to enlarge the army. I can say that closing a unit is easy. Building new units, it's a very long, costly process.
How much of the humanitarian aid entering Gaza is being used for truly humanitarian purposes, and how much is just arming the enemy?
I think it's mostly humanitarian, but we cannot be sure that everything goes to the citizens. We saw incidents where Hamas came and threatened citizens and took their food or fuel.
Do you think that Israel is doing a good job fighting the propaganda war? And what do you personally, Brigadier General Amir Avivi, do to promote Israel's propaganda needs? That's not the right word, but to promote Israel in the media.
So, not just me personally, but IDSF overall, we have dozens of interviews every day, international media, local media. It's actually very, very important for the Israeli people to listen to officers, generals that know what they're talking about. It strengthens the society. Everybody here in Israel is talking about that. Every time I walk in the street, people approach me and say how much they feel stronger and more sure when they listen to the officers of IDSF. Unfortunately, many of our counterparts are busy talking politics, are busy in a campaign attacking settlers, which is pretty crazy. I mean, the amount of settlers that are now fighting in Gaza and in the north is way above their average proportion in the society. And yet, there are generals who go to TV stations and talk about them in a terrible way. And this is sad, and this is why the voice of IDSF is so important.
You addressed my next question before even having to ask it. What about Egypt? Has there been any developments with regards to Egypt opening up their border to Gazans?
Well, we are seeing more and more, but not in a dramatic way. We managed to convince some prominent MKs in Europe to try and pass a resolution that calls Egypt to open the border. And for us in IDSF, it's a big success. This Friday, I'm meeting with the former Prime Minister of Lithuania that is now in the EU, came to Israel and wants to really work on this resolution. And I hope the EU will call Egypt to open the border and let the Palestinians go out.
Okay, thank you so much, Brigadier General Amir Avivi. This has been fantastic, and we have to do this again next week, this rapid-fire question and answer session. We're now going to go to Ronit, who is going to introduce our modern-day Maccabees to kick off Hanukkah for us. Ronit, please.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good evening to the soldiers in the Palmar. I'll introduce you to Captain Yuval and the Palmar. Palmar is a medical unit that services the entire district, the entire Gaza district over here. And they evacuate injured people, injured soldiers in real time. They are a unit that are combined of 3 teams. They have combat warriors, medics, and doctors. They are on call 24/7. They've been in service already since October 7th. And they have a team in the field right near the border or sometimes inside the border. And what they do is, in addition to another team that they have, which is on constant alert, you will see now the people that are on constant alert. And if there's an injured soldier, they are contacted immediately, and they give primary care to that wounded soldier. And then he is evacuated either by helicopter or ambulance. They are doing an amazing job. And now they will unmute themselves and say hello to us. And we will have the privilege of joining them in lighting the first candle of Hanukkah. Hello. Amazing. Amazing soldiers that you are. Thank you so much for joining us. We know you are very busy and all the time in the field and taking care of everyone. So we want you to take care of yourselves as well. And take it away, Palmar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של חנוכה. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. הנרות הללו שאנו מדליקים, הנרות הללו שאנו מדליקים, על הניסים ועל הנפלאות ועל התשועות Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and take care of yourselves. And I promise to spoil you, and I promise to get you warm clothes for the winter, and I'll give it to you, Val. And really take good care of yourself and have a happy Hanukkah, you and your families. And I hope that you will get back home soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Love you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for bringing Hanukkah in like that. So powerful and special for all of us. Thank you, Ronit, for setting that up. Amazing. Everything we do here at IDSF to inform the American community, to bring you these war updates. Ultimately, it's all about supporting and helping these Chayalim and everything that they are doing for the Jewish state, for the Jewish people. So it's quite special to have them with us here. And of course, a big thank you to Brigadier General Amir Avivi for today's rapid fire question and answer session. Thank you to all of our viewers and all of our supporters. We will be with you again next week, Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Wishing everyone a very happy Hanukkah. Stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.